we're going to take this to this. After selecting the picture you want to change and manipulate in Photoshop, the first step we need to do is open a new document from scratch. You can customize your settings to what you want, but most of the time when I make a new document, I made it a print quality US letter piece of paper, an 8.5 by 11. My picture is a landscape. I want to do CMYK color profile and 300 DPI because I plan on printing my document when I get finished. I'm going to ask that you design your project at high quality resolution so we can print it and display it when you're finished. So now I have a new blank document open. My next step is to import my photograph within my document. So I went to File, Place Embedded. Now I'm selecting the picture that I want. After I have it resized to how I want it to fit within the frame, I'm going to click the check mark in the options bar or click on a different tool. It came in as a smart object, and I need to rasterize it by clicking on the Layers menu, the layer of the picture, and clicking on the word rasterize. It changes the image to pixels, and I can now easily change it. The next step is to duplicate the layer because I want to create different versions of this Camaro and delete parts of the picture to let the one underneath it show through. You can duplicate your image as many times as you want. I've decided to only use 3 versions of this picture for this project. So after I have created a duplicate layer of my original picture, I've decided to add an image adjustment of hue and saturation to the Camaro picture so I can control what it looks like. I'm playing with color here and trying to decide what color to go with, and I've decided to go with neon green because it will really contrast well with the original cobalt blue color of the Camaro. While you're playing with hue and saturation, you can also play with the intensity or lightness of the color as well. I've decided to go ahead and duplicate my image a 3rd time and add in a version of the car that's in black and white. So I went to the layer menu and duplicate my original picture again, dragging it to the top of the layers palette. I'm going to add another image adjustment by going up to the main menu under Image Adjustments and click on Hue and Saturation. And this time, instead of truly changing the color of the car, I'm just going to play with the level of saturation and the lightness or the contrast of the image to make it where it looks kind of black and white or grayscale. So now I have 3 different layers of Camaros. They're all different colors. And my next mission is to start to remove pieces of the photograph to see to the next layer underneath it. But before we start doing that, we need to think about our rulers and guides. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the View menu and turn on my rulers. It is a good idea to save your project often, especially when you're working on an important project, because Photoshop does not auto-save. So now that I've got my project saved, I want to go to View and then click on Rulers, and now they show up, and I can draw my own custom guides from here, but I'm actually going to let the computer do most of the work and most of the math and fractions by having it create me a new guide layout. So as I said, you can drag your own grids over and create your own lines and measurements, or you can have the computer do it for you. So I've decided I don't want to keep those, so I'm going to clear them and create a new guide layout. So Photoshop is smart. It always remembers the last project you did and what your settings were. These guides are from a different project. I'm going to reset it to 0. And since I have 3 cars, on 3 layers, I decided to do a number of columns that will divide easily by 3 to make this look kind of interesting. So then every third row, I will have a different car showing through. So you can pick the number of columns that you want, and you can add rows if you want to do like a checker pattern or lines that go the other direction. So I'm trying to decide if I want to do 24 columns or if I want to do 18 columns, but I think I like how this one looks, so I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to get rid of those other guides that I don't need anymore. And I want to add me another layer of color and an original picture of my car. In case I really mess this up, I can always go back to the original photo. The reason I added a blank layer in my document is so I can add a color of paint in, just a bright color that makes things easy for me to see as I start hiding parts of my picture or deleting parts away. You can pick whatever color makes your heart happy or is easiest for your eyes to see. Oftentimes when I'm designing and I just need a color to help me see contrast, I usually use bright yellow or hot pink or lime green. But pick what color that makes you happy. I used the paint bucket tool on a blank layer and filled it with the foreground color. Next, I grabbed my marquee selection tool and I'm on my top layer of the black and white Camaro. And I used my selection tool to select the rows that I didn't want to show through. I'm selecting it and I'm hitting delete on my keyboard. What I actually want to happen is every third space to show up as the black and white car. So I am highlighting the 2 in between it, selecting the space, and hitting the delete key on my keyboard. It's going to take me a minute to quite get them all taken care of. So I've decided to put this in 4 times normal speed as I finish selecting the different parts of the black and white layer. The reason I decided to speed this up is because I'm doing the same action on the next layer. And I'm selecting the row that I want to have show through with my marquee tool, and I click delete. And then I scoot over and I use the selection tool, my marquee tool, and I click delete. And I keep repeating this process until each piece of the Camaro shows through that I want. So this idea came from the Deconstructed project we talked about previously, where you use one picture and you delete away parts so you can see a layer underneath. It can be a simple color, it can be a copy of the original picture, or it can be a different picture. There are many different ways you can go with this idea. I think this picture turned out very interesting and unique. End result, I decided to hide the yellow layer and turn it back to a basic white. After I finished my project, I made sure to save it as a layered Photoshop file on my drive, and then I also file save as and exported a JPEG that I could easily print to display. Thanks for watching!